Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back to Legal Ease, the show that converts legal jargon into legal ease. Now, you may recall 2 weeks ago we covered the topic of the incentives and grants that are available from the South African government to assist businesses. Now, there is a pervasive myth that there is no funding available for businesses. This is not the case. If you meet certain criteria, there are government grants available for your business to improve. The South African government is well aware of the importance of developing the economy, creating employment, and attracting foreign investment. To make these goals a reality, there are grants and assistance programs available from the government and associated organizations that can get your business off the ground and expanding. Now, what is a government grant? It is an award of funds from the government that does not need to be repaid and does not accrue interest, but this has strict guidelines for its applications. Grants are available from the government usually that are tied in with key deliverables such as black economic empowerment, job creation, and developing the economy, to name just a few. Do you have to repay a government grant? No. Unlike a loan, a grant is an award of money that is not repayable, meaning there is no obligation by the receiving party to repay the money received. Now, while the government is one of the best sources of grants, its selection criteria is strict, the paperwork is intensive, and the receiving business is obliged to spend the funds in the manner specified by the providers. Most funds available in South Africa have their own specific requirements, so it's advisable to try and get some professional help. Now, joining me tonight is the highly experienced Rashad Ahmad Khamisa, who has been with us and has approximately 15 years experience in this field. Rashad, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Nice to be back on the show again.
Very nice having you here. Rashad, previously we spoke about government grants and incentives.
Yes.
And I mean, as we've just put to the viewers, it's not a DIY. I mean, you do need a lot of help to try and get the right kind of grant.
Yes.
Or the right kind of incentive.
Yes.
Now, previously we've spoken about the number of businesses that you've helped. Let's start at the low end. What is a government grant that is available to, say, a manufacturer?
Okay, Ashraf, just to start off with, we had a lot of questions after the previous show from viewers that were tuned in, and I must say you have a very dynamic audience that listens to your show. I was very impressed with the quality of people that tune into the show, from businesses of all sizes, from startups to the expanding much larger businesses. But in answer to your question relating to startups, so we had a few calls of people that have been in a tough financial position,
right.
Or you have an entrepreneur who has a bright idea, they want to start a business now. How do they go about getting funding? So just to clarify, the government grants, most of them have a criteria that requires you to be in business for a minimum of 1 year. And then you need to have a few other documents in order. So if you're a new business, then you need to go through SEDA. SEDA is the Small Enterprise Development Agency, and their mandate is to help startup businesses. So if you need assistance, then you go directly to SEDA, and they will assist you with things such as business plans, marketing material, and a few other things as well to get ramped up on.
Right.
So, and the other organization is CIFA, who specializes in finance. Now, getting access to the funding is not easy with CIFA,
right?
Because it's like the same as going to your banks. You know, when you try to go to a bank and you have no money, and you say, look, bank, I've got a bright idea. I'd like to start this particular business, and it's going to cost me 500,000 rand. And the bank says, do you have a house? You say, no. Do you have a piece of land? No. Well, how are you going to fund the business?
Right.
I don't have the money. Can you help me? And you're going to find the same thing with other people as well.
Right.
So under the Small Business Development Unit, their mandate is to assist startup businesses.
Okay.
So we as Incentives SA, we don't specifically deal with startup businesses, but to get assistance, you contact SEDA, and that's spelled SEDA, Small Enterprise Development Agency. You can put that into Google and have branches all over the country. So you can go to them and you can get access to quite a lot of things, including if you wanted banners, signage for your premises, website, software, specifically ERP, CRM, specific software for your needs. You can get access to that from the Small Business Development Unit. That was part of the DTI, is now moved to a unit of its own. Okay. So that's where I would say to go for businesses that have just started.
Right.
Last week, the week before, we spoke about a program called the Black Business Supplier Development Program. Now, that program is targeted towards businesses that have been in business for 1 year and have a turnover at least 250,000 Rand and under 35 million. You're regarded as a small business.
Okay.
You need to be 51% black owned, and that was the other criteria. For that, you can get access to up to 800,000 Rand worth of tools, machinery, and equipment. And that's the one that a lot of our viewers out there would be tuned into and would be able to apply on, because it applies to all industries.
Okay.
So the main criteria is you need to be 51% black owned. And the idea behind this grant is that it's for companies that want to expand. So if you're a business that's not growing, government's not really there to support you. They want to see you expanding and creating jobs and helping the economy.
Okay. So it's for expansion. So let's just recap. Startup enterprises can go to CEDA. Those organizations would be able to assist you with signages, etc. Then you have the next group of businesses where a grant can be given for tools.
The CEDA one is also a grant, just to clarify that.
Okay.
There's also money given to you.
Right. So a startup enterprise gets a grant. An existing enterprise that wants to expand, that needs machinery, tools and equipment can also access grant funding.
Yes.
Okay. Now just give us a practical example. Look, there's a number of different industries, right? I know the government gives you money for aquaculture development and enhancement programs. And those are involved in primary, secondary and ancillary aquaculture projects for both the marine and fresh water. I mean, we're now talking fishing, right?
Yeah.
And it is approved for new and existing entities. Now we also have the Automotive Investment Scheme, also known as AIS, which is designed to grow and develop the automotive industry through investment in new and replacement models and components that will increase production volume, sustain and increase employment, and strengthen the automotive chain. But let's come back to, let's say, our target market, right? A good business enterprise, he needs to expand, and he needs a piece of equipment. For example, somebody asked us earlier on, they needed a patty making machine.
Yes, to make burger patties.
Yes, which seems to be a very big industry with a number of international players now coming into the market, right?
Well, if you look at how many people consume burgers on a daily basis, I mean, our viewers out there would be able to, back that up. So, of course, they have to be made somewhere, and they're made on a large scale.
Right.
And of course, you have manufacturers that are, and we have a lot of Muslim manufacturers as well.
Yes.
Some in Cape Town, some in Durban, and now in Johannesburg as well, who need access to machinery, because they're very specialized machinery, like everything. So you can use programs. So if the grants that you mentioned, the aquaculture grant, it's a good indication of how many grants there are available. You have your AIS, which is your Automotive Incentive Scheme, which assists you if you're setting up an automotive plant in South Africa. You have the aquaculture grant if you're going to be getting into the fisheries industry, and we can assist you with that. And then you have the one we were talking about was the BBSDP. So there's a range of grants available to suit your particular business model. Using the example of a company who is into meat processing, and they are interested in getting things such as a burger making machine or a patty making machine, you would apply, if their company's turnover is under 35 million Rand, you could apply on the BBSDP and get 800,000 Rand back as a grant on a 1.6 million Rand investment, which is considerable. That's a huge saving on that particular program. And when the MSEP program opens again, which is the manufacturing program, you can get a maximum of 30 million Rand back. So you have people, and it's not, it's very common that we have many people out there in very large businesses, some companies doing 500 million, a billion and over, in the Muslim community. And I was just commenting earlier how inspired I've been in what I do, of the type of people that we have in the community. And I'd like to talk more about the quality of the business community in South Africa.
Okay, that seems to be an excellent point to pause. Please stay tuned. We're going for a short ad break. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You tune to Legal Ease, the show that converts legal jargon into legal ease. And tonight we're speaking about what government grants and incentives are available for you, the business person, to improve your business. Just before the break, Rashad, we were talking about how the Muslim community as a business community has striven, has really been an excellent example of good business practice, and
Yes.
what is available for them out there. I mean, you have a lot of interaction with the Muslim community.
Well, yeah, I mean, what I was commenting about before the break is the quality of the businessman and women in South Africa. They're very robust, they're very dynamic, and they have what I was talking about earlier is that you have some people who have great dreams and great business visions of setting up and becoming a billionaire.
Right.
And then you have these other people who are just working and don't have much faith in them growing.
Right.
But we have this dynamic community that has got a balance of both.
Yeah.
They have big visions and big dreams, but they know it takes hard work and
Right.
practical day-to-day increasing their profits, increasing their turnover, increasing their sales, managing their operations. And that's very much a South African, Indian and Muslim thing that I find very unique to you. I mean, I've dealt with business people in the Middle East, in America, and growing up in Australia, I've dealt with them there. Then you have Malaysians, and then you have Indians from India,
Yes.
which they are dynamic and amazing people, and are some of the most wealthiest business people on the planet. But as the South African community on a whole, we do have a desire and an understanding of what is required to be a successful business. And every day I meet people that are going out there, doing what they need to do, making things happen. And it's very inspiring to see that as a community, as a business community, we are very successful and that we are thriving and that we are very pragmatic in what we do.
Well, on that point, we have a first caller. Caller, please go ahead.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
I'm phoning from Cape Town.
Yes.
I just have a question. I just need clarity on the following. I'm trying to get. I want to enter the agricultural industry
Yes.
in the Western Cape,
Yeah.
and I just want to know. I have. I'm negotiating at the moment to purchase a business, which is an existing business. It's been running for a few years,
Yes.
and it's extremely successful.
Yeah.
I just want to know if there's still a waiting period where that is concerned, where I am the incumbent buyer,
Yeah.
but there is a track record, there's a trading history on the business.
So you want to acquire a share into the business, or you want to purchase the business outright?
No, a full 100% takeover.
Is the company white owned or is it black owned? The
It's
acquiring
white-owned.
company, the company you're acquiring.
No, I'm black owned.
Right, yes, but the company you're buying?
The target company.
The target company, the current operations is completely white owned.
Okay, so you have a few things available. It's a very good question and it applies to a lot of viewers, so thank you for asking the question. In the agricultural industry,
My pleasure.
you have a few programs available under DAF, which is the Department of Agriculture and Forestry and Fisheries. They have a number of programs available as grant programs. And then you also have the land bank. Now, when you're acquiring an existing business that has an operational capital turnover and things like that with a track record, you need to approach a finance organization if you want to buy that on finance. If you have the money yourself, then of course you wouldn't be calling, you'd probably have the money to buy it yourself. So what you need to do is you need to put together a business plan and then take it to one of the DFIs who are responsible for investing in projects like this. Two examples of them are the NEF, the National Empowerment Fund. The reason why I asked about the black ownership status and the white ownership status, there's finance available for companies that are black owned that are buying a white company out. So they will,
Yes.
NEF, the National Empowerment Fund, will provide finance. Of course, if you meet the criteria, because being black does not make business sense. Obviously, it's in South Africa, being previously disadvantaged, we have an advantage in that way. But we have to make a business case, and of course, if the business
Right.
is sustainable, profitable, put that into a business plan. You can approach us, or you can go directly to NEF and approach them and tell them your plans, how much money you need, and over what period of time you need it for. Obviously, you have to look at affordability as well. When you go to a financial
Right.
institution, if you want to buy a 100 million rand business and you've got 5 million rand in your pocket, it might be a little difficult. So knowing all these factors and looking at the profitability, will you be able to afford the repayments on a particular
Right.
finance application? There's no grant available to acquire a business.
Okay, but there is machinery involved. There is additional machinery I need to enhance the business with.
Yes, but then you'd need to acquire the company. The company would now be 100% black-owned, and then you could
Right.
apply after running the business for 1 year as a black-owned enterprise, apply on the program, and
Okay,
then you can
great.
get access to all sorts of grants. And agriculture is I'm sure you know, is a key sector that government wants to focus on as part of
Yes,
this thing
yes.
called the IPAP program. So definitely get involved. I like the concept of agriculture, and I think more people should get into it because, of course, we have the drought. We have so many issues that are facing us right now. So, yeah, I wish you the best of luck with it, and you're welcome to call us as well if you need further guidance.
I will be in contact with you. So just that acronym in the beginning.
Yes, which one?
The DAF.
DAF, Department of Agriculture, Fisheries and Forestry.
Okay, so that grant is available through the land bank.
No, that's available through DAF. But remember, this
Through
is not
DAF, okay.
that's not to acquire a company. That's
Yes,
for
yes.
agricultural projects where they will assist you in subsidizing land costs and a few other things as well. So it's not specifically for acquisition. So your first step is to raise the finance, purchase the
Right.
company. The second step is then to trade on that company, make sure it's profitable, and then you pay back your repayments. At the same time, while you're running the company and you're turning it profitable, you can then apply for grants that will assist you in reducing the cost of ownership of your capital investment into machinery and equipment.
Great.
So it's
Thank
a
you very much.
multiple stage. Thank you very much for your question.
Thank you.
Thank you. Rashad, so speaking of finance, as you just indicated to the viewer now, specifically, what can one look for and how can one access finance?
That's a very good question. Look, finance is available for people that can qualify on finance.
Right.
It's a question of, and coming from a traditional background, we say if we've got 50 Rand in our bank account, that's all we have access to and that's all we use.
Yes.
But getting access to government finance gives you further leverage.
Right.
Now, the caller that called us previously, he might not have the cash right now.
Right.
But the business that he wants to acquire is profitable. It's
Right.
doing very well. And with the right type of resources, and he's bringing in his expertise, it could be a doable deal. But the things that are going to cause is it either going to be a deal breaker or deal maker is going to be your financial standing, your tax clearance
Right.
certificates, and then your affordability as well.
Yes.
So those things are very important. But through programs that the IDC offer, which is called the Grow E scheme, they can give you prime less 3%.
Right.
And that's much more lucrative than going to the banks. So if you have a project, even you're an existing business and you say, look, I'd like to expand my business.
Yeah.
I want a new facility and a new plant. And now some of our clients are doing that.
Yeah.
We go to people like the IDC and other organizations, get them access to finance. And then because they have an existing track record, the government organizations can say, we know you can pay this back. And they've earmarked a lot of money
Yeah.
for this particular purpose. So if you have a choice between going to the banks and getting government finance,
Yes.
and you are affordable, I mean, you can afford the
Yeah.
repayments, you definitely would access government finance for
Yeah,
those
it's
kind of
a
projects.
soft loan. It's below prime, as
Yeah.
you've indicated, and there's a willingness to assist you. But
Yes.
more than government, I know that you have a magnificent track record in putting businesses together.
Yeah.
And those are some of the questions you'd also be, you, the viewer, are welcome to call in. So Rashad Ahmed is an expert, a proven expert in the field of merging businesses and creating opportunity for you. So even if you want to raise a partner perhaps, or you're looking to invest in a business, you could also bring those questions to my guest here tonight. So With regard to AMSEP, this is the program that you were speaking about, manufacturing
Yes.
incentives.
It's called the Manufacturing Competitiveness Enhancement Program. They love very long acronyms
Yeah.
at the DTI. So this particular program was running for, I think, over 6 years.
Yes.
And they paid out 6 billion rand on the program. The program had reached its point of conclusion. The government, the DTI, has taken a lot of flack for closing it down prematurely.
Yeah.
And there's rumors, and actually the DTI indicated they're going to reopen the program.
Right.
And we're hoping it'll reopen this year. That's specifically meant for the manufacturing industry.
Okay.
And there's huge benefits in it.
Yeah.
And it's not capped at 800,000 rand like the previous program.
Right.
So if you're a manufacturer, you could get theoretically 30 million rand for your project. But remember, it's a cost-sharing basis. So
Right.
it's not, a lot of people think, okay, I'll take the 30 million rand.
Yes.
It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
Government's saying, do a project for 60 million,
Yeah.
we'll give you 30 million, you bring down 30
Yeah.
million as well. So it's cost sharing, and that's very important to understand. There's no grants, well, very rarely is there a grant that gives you 100%.
Yeah.
Government wants to see that you're putting in your part as well.
Commitment, yes.
And it's very fair.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, they have a duty to the taxpayer.
Yes.
It's taxpayer money. And that's the other thing to clarify. It's your money.
Yeah.
That's what people understand. It's the money that you've worked and paid tax for. Government is saying you can get some of it back now as a tax from the taxes to grow your business for expansion. So the MSEP program is one very interesting program. But
Yeah.
Talking more about the buying and selling
Yeah.
side of things. So you have access to government grants. You have access to finance.
Yeah.
And sometimes your project might be very good, but government says we don't want to finance it for one
Okay.
reason or the other. You can then go to private equity investors, and I
Yes.
have a range of them that will come in and will join in your project if it meets their criteria.
Yeah.
Of course, if you've got a bright idea, you've got no previous experience, and you say, nobody wants to help me, I need help, I can't help you. Because I
Yes.
go to the same people and they say, why are you bringing me a project that has got no test run? Who is behind the
Yeah.
project? So if you have a business project that requires an extra partner and it's totally sustainable, due diligence has been conducted,
Yeah.
there are exciting opportunities. And I have a lot of my clients who have done really well saying, we'd like to give back in the Muslim community.
Yes.
We want to be donors as well. So they will fund a project, and of course they want to make money out of it as well. So they'll come in on a project. And we're constantly looking for more people that want to contribute to solid projects, because like I said, we're a dynamic group of individuals in
Yeah.
the Muslim community. And there are people out there who have amazing projects working on very large things as well.
Right.
So we'd like to partner the two of them together.
Well, I mean, there's other areas of funding that we can talk about. I know Kickstarter funding is very big in the US, and there's angel funding as well.
Yes.
Those things haven't really gained traction here.
They have in certain industries like the IT
Right.
sector, but
Okay.
in other industries they need to be developed further. I mean, as part of the budget, they've allocated quite a few billions of rands for the wheat farmers,
Okay.
and because we have a major drought shortage.
So
right
there's
now.
drought relief there as
Yes,
well.
drought relief there as well.
Okay, please stay tuned. We're just going for a very short break, and join us after the break. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back to Legal Ease, the show that converts legal jargon into legal ease. So tonight is your opportunity to call in and speak to Rashad Ahmed, who is an expert in raising government grants and finance for your business. Rashad, we've been trying to assist the viewers with the kind of grants that are available, right? But that's one part of what you do. You're also able to assess what the business needs. I mean, typically, a business is focused on what it's doing, and sometimes they don't know what they're leaving out. Now, from your experience, give us an example or something that the viewers can understand how this really works. What do you do on a daily practical basis?
Right. Well, I mean, our whole business was set up as business consultants. So what
Right.
we used to do is go into a business, identify weaknesses,
Right.
identify strengths,
Yeah.
and then develop on those strengths. And of course, as part of growing strategy, companies needed access to grants. They needed access to more working capital. They needed access to buy new machinery. So that then progressed. But it's just amazing when you go and meet your average business person who's going through a tough patch. And a lot of people, I mean, it's not, business is of the nature that it's not this constant upward trend.
Of course.
And it's a very lonely world out there being a businessman or businesswoman as well, because you don't have the support network. And sometimes you need to get someone in who says, let me have an outside view. And that's what we do. We say, put it on the table. Let's see what you're doing.
Right.
And it's amazing when they put it out there. I mean, I had a client who was really going through a tough spot.
Yeah.
Well, I can talk more about it in more detail in a bit.
Okay. A call is gone, sorry.
Okay. Yeah, so what I was saying is...
You had a client going through a tough...
I had a client who said, look, I can't increase my turnover.
Right.
And I'm suffering because my production, I've got production capacity, but I don't have enough work going in. And I said, well, how much money are you spending on maintaining the production? He said, X amount. I said, how about you reduce your production capacity? And then I said, who's selling your product? Well, I do it as much as I can. But you're running the company at the same time. How does that work? So I said, you focus on running the company, reduce and outsource your production.
Yes.
I said, what's wrong with closing down your factory entirely?
Yeah.
Outsourcing it to somebody who can take care of the headache.
Right.
And you have a dynamic sales force. And then reopen it.
Yeah.
Once you've got your numbers up. So there's no problem. And in business, you have to be dynamic. And the most successful businesses change at the drop of a hat. Having the not old, but having a static mentality.
Yeah.
Business is either in decline or is in expansion. It's never stagnant. And so is life. So in that particular way, I would advise a company and say, get rid of your production hassles, outsource it to somebody else who is doing it at the moment, increase your, and to get a qualified salesperson who has experience. You don't want someone who exited university and you get someone who says, I have a client who said, no, I put him on a 2,000 Rand retainer and commission on the rest. You're not going to thrive that way. So you get someone who has got proven track record that has closed deals in these companies, to go out there and invest, to go and sell to these companies, bring the orders in, increase your sales, and of course your profits are going to be higher on the long term. In the short term, you're outsourcing, so of course there's going to be the gap. But when you have the turnover, then you have the orders and the capacity to open up your own plant again. Then you open your plant again and you're back to square one. But it's amazing how, because it's you're tied in there, and sometimes you don't have an ear to listen to. So we provide that valuable input. So then once you, so a lot of our clients are long-term clients.
Right.
We have clients now that have been with us for years. So we'll go in, tell them to incorporate a software system and an automated system to get things automated. And a lot of people don't understand that if your systems are not in place and one day you want to sell, I mean, the bottom line is we're not in business. Not all of us are in business to pass on the business to our children and then continue along the lines. Some people want to do their business. They want to get value for something that they've established and sell it one day. And that's what I do for a lot of people, is to sell their companies. And I'm talking about larger size companies. Of course, if you're just doing 500,000 Rand a year, you're not going to get an investor that's going to come and buy it. They want to get into a market without them having to establish the market. So it's very important to maintain your business from day one and pay your taxes. I mean, it's a sad thing that we have to say, but pay your taxes, get your taxes up to date, show your profits. Because when you one day want to go to a bank or you want to go to a finance institution and you're just constantly showing losses, it's not going to be beneficial in the long run. And like when you're accessing government grants, it's your taxpayer money that will be returned to you. So pay your taxes, have your books in order, and have quality steps in place to manage your processes. So at a drop of a hat, you can do a printout and say, how many sales have I done? What's my profit margins? And it's not that expensive. It's not rocket science. You don't have to invest in a SAP system that's going to cost you 10 million Rand. You can start off small. But there's no way you can sell a company 10 years later after investing so much time without having proper paperwork. I mean, I have a very large company that's selling for 150 million Rand. To a very large, one of the big 5 consulting firms, or big 4 consulting firms now. And it's a very profitable business.
Right.
The problem is their paperwork, and it's a family-run business.
Okay.
And of course, you don't have proper procedures in place, so you can't sell it. So like I was saying, with our clients, we start off providing the business consultancy, restructuring their businesses, which moves on to the grants and getting them money from government programs, and then getting them access from government for finance as well. And with our international investment network, we can bring in investors who will invest into projects as well. And then one day the company says, either I want to merge with somebody else or bring a partner on board. And one of the advices I tell a lot of people who've got brilliant ideas is to partner with another company who is an expert in this field. So instead of you saying, I want to market this product, I've got this brilliant idea, I've got a patent on it, but how are you going to sell it? How are you going to distribute it across wherever you want to distribute it? What's wrong with going to a distribution company and saying, this is my concept, where can we form some type of relationship? And synergies in business are very important. It doesn't mean you have to be tied at the hip, 50-50, everybody goes into the office every day. It's not like that. So if you have an open, honest relationship, you will have much more further leverage. And you'll be surprised how many people don't go out there and talk to other people within the industry.
Well, time for another short break. Please stay tuned and join us after the break. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And a reminder that you are tuned to Legal Ease, the show that converts legal jargon into legal ease. And once again, to reintroduce Rashad Ahmed, who is an expert in the area of raising government grants and incentives for your business. As he's just explained, part of his passion is also to provide you with the necessary know-how for you to succeed in your business and ultimately to sell it if you want. Rashad, I know that you're personally very passionate about creating entrepreneurs, and you yourself have spoken about an incubation of entrepreneurs. Now, as far as I know, that doesn't exist except in the schools of business. But you want to do this as a community-driven thing. What's your thinking on that?
Well, my idea was to set up a hub where it's not entrepreneurs. It's not exactly entrepreneurs. It's people in business who want to now expand and grow further. So it's someone who has some knowledge. So we're not talking green. We're not talking someone who has no background. So it would be someone who is in business, has great ideas, but hasn't reached the potential where they want to go. So it's sort of a mid-level entrepreneurship. But what I'm saying is that we can grow as a community to a much higher level. So you have a program where, apart from they would have the basic essentials of business. What they need is things like working capital, access to finance, access to markets. Now, we have a lot of people in our community that are connected with all the chain stores, with all these other outlets where they can distribute products across all industries. I mean, I met with people in the steel industry, people in aluminium, woodworking, and of course your big retail outlets, rice importation. I mean, there's just such a variety. Now, what happens if we have a system where all of this can plug in together? I'm still formulating it in the beginning stages, but so we'd have a pool of funds for projects that have been vetted carefully and with offtake agreements. So in other words, guaranteed projects. And then we get investors on board, and some of the viewers out there, one of them called me up and says, look, we're interested in investing in projects that are sustainable. So our responsibility would be to vet the projects to make sure they meet the criteria and that they are sustainable. Then the money goes back in the pool, and then we help another business to grow as well. And in the process, we're increasing our market share and our potential as a community, working together side by side rather than working individually, and the trust factor, all these kind of things are incorporated so that there's a commonality. And the entire vision behind it is generosity. So it's generosity from you giving to the program and the program giving to you. And then you giving to your customers rather than you just making money. Because like in the previous meeting I had earlier today, what wakes us up in the morning to get out of a bed and do things, if we were just there to make money, it would be so boring. So doing what I do and seeing on a daily basis these people that are doing so well and can do better, I want to put together a system in place where we could thrive as a community, where people that contribute their money would grow further and then see something that's sustainable growing even further. And of course, businesses that needed that edge now have that edge and say, we have the backing of, I mean, look what Massmart did.
Yes.
I mean, they came in, they provided a huge distribution network.
Yes.
Saying, come in and produce your product, sell to us, and we will give you the outlet. So it's the same type of concept that I'd like to do. But we'll see how it progresses, but I'm excited about that.
No, that's a fantastic idea. Let's talk a little bit about the Black Industrial Program. Now, the President was at pains to mention that he is interested in creating a new class of entrepreneurs, specifically Black industrialists.
Yes.
Just unpack that for us.
Well, the Black Industrialist Program is a program that was launched a couple of weeks ago. It's been in the works for over a year now, and it's part of this thing called the IPAP, which is the Industrial Policy Action Plan.
Right.
And the idea is to nurture industrialists which are black, now black meaning non-white.
Yes.
Previously
disadvantaged.
Previously disadvantaged. And they have different categories of percentages of BEE status or status of black. So the idea is to empower these companies so that they can dominate an industry.
Right.
So the minimum investment is 30 million rand. So we're not talking about a very small project.
Okay.
There are some issues with it that I identified because not everybody has a project which requires a minimum of 30 million rand investment. So they become excluded. So I think the policy would go through a review and probably open up to a different category of people. But it's very exciting. And in our communities, we have people in a variety of industries that are dominating or could dominate even further to get to a global level. And government is saying, we're putting grant money behind you, we're putting government finance behind you, and the people that are going to be sitting on the board to guide you are going to be the ministers of the different portfolios. Okay. So it's a very high level. So it's a very good program, and if there are people out there who are interested in the program, we can guide them on how to go about applying. But I think it's a step in the right direction. On the one hand, it's taken a lot of flack, but so has everything. And I think we can benefit as a community, being previously disadvantaged. So take advantage of the particular program. And like we've mentioned, we didn't cover probably 70% of the grants that are available out there, because we're talking very generally. If you're in the automotive industry, you have a specific grant. If you're in aquaculture, you have a specific grant. If you're agriculture, you have a different grant.
Right.
So you have all these type of programs available, and let's not forget about SEDA, because SEDA was not as popular in the past because they were taking very long in order to process an application. Right now, SEDA is processing applications quicker. So if you are even an existing business, like a company said to me, I'm busy implementing a software that will manage my operation. And I said, you can get SEDA to give you 70% back of the cost of that software. So another company was implementing ISO, which is the international standards.
Yes.
And ISO 9000 and whatever, they have so many different ISO standards. SABS approval.
Yes.
You can get 70% back on the investment cost, and these things get expensive. So you should definitely access these grants that are available to you as taxpayers, because they are money given as grants. And if you don't, somebody else will.
Yeah.
And the amount of applications that they've got, I mean, they're inundated. And that's one of the reasons why we're around as well, because we engage with them. I mean, I have people that they do an average of 17 calls a day in order to get a hold of someone. So it's painstaking, but at the end of the day, it's worth it for the company.
Now, just by way of example, let's say I were to approach you for assistance. Is there an upfront fee, or how does it work?
Well, our policy is that we work with clients that we feel we can add value to, and they benefit and we benefit. So what has kept us as a good reputation in this industry all along, and we maintain this today, we have no upfront fees. So we will take a success fee. But that puts us in a position that we will engage with you if we feel there would be a benefit to us. And that's a win-win situation.
Absolutely.
A lot of people in this industry say, we'll get you a government grant, give me 10 grand, give me 5 grand. I've heard people paying 100 grand.
Yes.
And I call them idiots, to be honest to you, because if someone comes up to you and says, give me 5 grand, you say, no problem. Bring me the money and you take your cut. But it's amazing how many people are gullible. So the reputation in the industry, some fly-by-nights doing this sort of thing. So we've been able to keep a good reputation. So if we can't help you and we don't see direct benefit, we will put you in touch with the right people. So that's our mandate, is to say we will lead you on if we can't help you. And if we can help you, of course, we will partner with you. And like I was saying earlier on, we go from stage to stage.
Yeah.
And the end stage would be to sell your company.
Right.
So that's something else that we've been very successful at. A lot of international companies and a lot of local companies want to buy profitable and successful businesses. And people reach a particular age or a particular stage in their life where they say, look, I've done this and it's doing well. And I had a particular client who called me in an industry that I couldn't help them with.
Yeah.
And it's disheartening because I wish I could sell everything out there, but
Right.
I have a limited pool of investors that I want to invest in this particular industry.
Yes.
So I can't go to them and say, you should invest in that. So it has to meet their requirements. It's their money after all.
Of course, yeah. Well, I mean, look, it's been an amazing conversation with you. We have less than a minute just to wrap up. But what I'd like to remind the viewers is Rashad has put out his details repeatedly. It was on the screen, and you could call in later. But please take advantage of his expertise here. You don't know what he could do for your business. In addition to that, there is nothing stopping you from going out and succeeding. I mean, you said something quite amazing, that the Muslim business population has been very, very impressive. If we take emerging opportunities just in the halal industry worldwide, and I know Cape Town is giving a lot of attention to this. Secondly, aquaculture. You said to me earlier on that there's a government that will take all the fish that you could produce. There are people supplying chain stores with their products, perishables and that kind of thing. All of these things are available for improvement. If you need grants, machines, don't be shy. Call and look Rashad Ahmad up. Rashad, it just takes, I only have a few seconds to say thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you, Ashraf. It's been wonderful being on the show, and I hope to be on again soon.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. And to our viewers out there, please join us in 2 weeks' time for another episode of Legal Ease. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.